Bow, 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 bow,
Bow, bow,
bow.
bow, bow, bow. How are we all?
Oh,
Just
I've
me and
missed
you.
that tune. I've absolutely missed that tune. It's good to hear it, and it's good to see you, Charlie. How are you?
Mate, I'm still on cloud nine. I'm still buzzing from the epic adventure of Thought Bubble last week. Who'd think it was a week away? It's a week
Yeah,
on already.
it's like it's been the highs of thought bubble to the like back with a bang, back into work, back to family life, and yeah, it's only 360 odd days till thought bubble, so it's going to be the long road to thought bubble that we're going to do from today.
We are starting the long road to Thought Bubble, so the 365, 60, 51 day to Thought Bubble again. But no, honestly, you might notice that there's only two of us tonight because literally Tom came back thick and fast, straight into the thick of it with work and graphic
Saving
designing and
lives.
saving lives, his comic book shop and everything like that. So you've got to put up with us two tonight. We won't bore you too much. But let's go through the chat because it's been pretty buzzing again. We've got man like Triple G. Now, I have to say, Triple G is an absolute fucking G. He is. We went to Thought Bubble and we all met up for the first time, or what have you. But Triple G is one of the nicest guys and one of the most down to earth guys I think I've ever met. He was.
I would absolutely agree 100%. Yeah, absolutely genuine. What you see is what you get. Exactly what he's like in real life is what you see in the videos, which you're obviously not too sure about whenever you meet people because you don't know if it's like a YouTube thing. But I guess on the Saturday night when we all went out for drinks and had the crack, we all realised that we were all just part of a community. So we all talk about the community, but as I said on my Instagram, we actually experienced the community, which was amazing.
It was awesome, and he said he might not be able to join the live, gent. So just say thank you for promoting the con. I wouldn't have gone without your coverage, and a huge thank you for making me feel part of the crew on Saturday night, mate. There ain't no crew without Triple G, is there? Let's be honest.
We're in his crew. We're
We
technically in his crew
we
now.
were in his crew. We gate
He's
crashed
a leader of the
him.
pack.
He is. We gate crashed him and Hydra's shindig on Saturday night in the ever glamorous Weatherspoons of Harrogate. It's cheap drink, good company. We've got Donald Comics. I'm driving home, so we'll be listening, guys. Thank you very much, Shane. We've got, thanks, guys. I'm just touching up Charlie's makeup. He's such a diva. I'm so sorry. I'm going.
And it wasn't on his face.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. We've got the Poptimist, Sim Simmer, who's got the keys to my bimmer. Another shout out to Darren, Poptimist, making his way. He's converted over from Pops now. He's into comics as well, so he's opening up his collection. But it was great to see him. Another absolute diamond of the community.
Top man.
Absolutely. And there we go. Look, Triple G. He did make it.
Yes.
We've got Mark Oldroyd. Absolute pleasure seeing you at Thought Bubble as well. I hope you got everything signed that you needed to. Again, it was good to put an actual face to a name because you are real. You're not just a virtual.
He looks really like his avatar as well.
He really looks like his avatar. I like the way he's really done that. It was great. I'm still living a high life. I'm still drinking beer, even though I thought I was going to stop after Thought Bubble, but no, I'm still going to keep it. Still keep it going. Connie Dalton, thank you for joining us, darling. Sit back, relax, and listen to us chat rubbish for an hour and a half, maybe.
It's what we do.
GP Venom, hey all, hope you've all recovered from the weekend. I've recovered a bit too soon. I was hoping like the hangovers and everything would drag on a bit longer, but they didn't.
You can only get a hangover when you're sober, I guess. So just keep drinking.
That's what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep drinking. We've got Panels in a Half Pint. Now, some of you might know him as the Noob. We know him as Panels in a Half Pint.
We technically christened him on Sunday evening.
Yes, we did.
Panels in a Half Pint. That's where he moved over. He graduated from being the Noob, and he's now went up a level. So he's now Panels in a Half Pint. So.
And I've got to say, he's taller than I thought he was going to be. He's
not.
He's taller by an inch than I thought he was going to be. But it was great. Really good to meet an absolute diamond guy. But we'll get into that a bit later. The Hobgoblins Hideaway, Mr. Tim. How are you doing, sir? Again, that was another pleasure. He travelled 6 hours in the car to come and spend the evening with us and then do his little what he had to do around Thought Bubble, go and get some witnessing collections and comic book signings and stuff like that. So it was great again to meet so many of you. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. Really, really did.
100%, 100%. No, it was great to see him, and it was a great night. Great to have the chat. Great to have the crack, and we shall definitely be doing it again.
100%. And we've got Chris Bell. We are on the big screen again. I'm feeling spoiled. So are we.
Oh,
we're on the big
60
screen.
inches of us. My goodness, that's the first time we've said that ever.
But normally in this segment, we would go through what we've picked up. So we can do that, or we can go through what we got. We got a thought bubble. So do you want to go through what you picked up this week?
I'm going to do both.
And I am just warning you now that I am on daddy duty, and I've got the baby monitor there, and I'm keep looking over, right, because the baby's crying. So I might literally just have to go off for 2 seconds.
You go get the baby, and I'll take the kids through my pickups.
Cool. I will be 2 seconds. Okay.
Oh, this is what I've always wanted, guys. Me on my own killer comic show. So the first stuff that I'm going to show you is stuff that I actually received in the post. So this isn't stuff that I picked up at Thought Bubble. So the first item that I picked up was Dune issue number 3. So this is from the original series. This was a 3-issue run, and I managed to pick up issue 3 and also issue number 2. So if anybody has issue number 1 and they want to sell it to me, please let me know, because I would like to add that to the collection. So that's Dune issue number 2 and issue number 3. I then picked, you guys, you've seen this before, I pick up as many copies of this as I possibly can. So this is FF issue number 19, and this is the first appearance of Inami, who is part of the Wakandan universe. And I think it's a little bit of a spec play. So if you ever see this in your back bins, make sure that you pick it up. I think I picked this up for £2.50, which is absolutely nothing. Next up, I have issue 1 of Dragonlance, which is like a play on the Dungeons and Dragons game. So I think I picked this up for £1, so I couldn't say no. And do you know what's really interesting? If Charlie doesn't come back, I don't have access to be able to control the screen, so you could just be talking to me all night, which sounds horrible. Next one is Catwoman, issue number 1. Class cover, so that's based on the Catwoman movie. We have this little spec book with, Black Adam movie coming out. So we have DC Comics Presents issue number 49. And I managed to pick this up for £4.50, which I think is a bit of a bargain, because apparently this might, this might be in the upcoming movie. Obviously, we get Superman, you've got Shazam fighting against Black Adam there. I can see the chat, guys, but I can't bring it up. So I can see Connie likes the Catwoman.
I'm back.
No, do you know what? Just go. We were fine. The guys were fine. Me and those guys. So we have got Avengers issue number 1. No, please come back. Please.
I'm back.
We have got Avengers issue number 1, and this is a George Perez cover. So I couldn't not pick that up. We have DC Comics Presents issue 56. This is Superman and Power Girl, and I don't know why this is a key, but I think it's a key. Somebody in the chat, I'm sure Triple G will know why this is a key. Check the app. And then we have The Incredible Hulk, issue number 258, and this is the first appearance of the Soviet soldiers, which is obviously hot off the Black Widow movie. This one I put up on my Instagram today. This was The House of Hammer, issue number 1.
That's nice.
Yeah, I love this. Again, this was pretty much cheap as chips. I think I only paid maybe £8 for this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you can't beat a bit of Dracula, to be honest with you. That's pretty much all my pickups that have come through the post since I've come back from Thought Bubble. Do you want to jump into your Thought Bubble pickups, Charlie, and then
I'm just going to go through one pickup that I got. So
cool.
This came through today. So this is, you would have seen this on last week's show. This was the double exposure Venom number 1 cover. I've got to say, we're obviously reviewing the comic tonight, but I kind of jumped on the hype train for this. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm really into the cover. Like, I'm loving the Venom. I'm going to get the cover and stuff. I've got to say, it was a waste of £20.
Uh-oh.
I've got to be honest, right? So, right, it's great artwork. Don't get me wrong. Like, absolutely fantastic artwork. Love the artwork, and it comes with like a COA of like approval. But I've just got to say, the artwork by Yoon is great, but it comes with the old school 3D glasses. It's not even a
Actually,
foil.
glasses as well.
Yeah, it's not even a foil cover. It's just a normal paper cover. So for me, it was a waste of money. I'm not going to lie. It was a waste of money. I didn't jump on. I jumped on it thinking it was going to be good. I thought it'd be like a nice like cardstock finish, but it ain't. I'm really
No.
quite disappointed with it, to be fair.
Oh, mate.
Because I was really looking forward to that. Like the way they hyped it up. Really, really looking forward to it. But hey ho, you win some, you lose some. But that's the way it goes.
At least, well, we'll get to the reviews of Venom 1, but
Mhm.
at least maybe the story was a little bit better than what the quality of that cover was potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anything else, Charlie boy?
That was the only thing I got in the post. I've held the spending off pretty much. But yeah, see, look, Triple G is the same. Same, Charlie. I bought 2 sets. Also ordered the Hulk. Honestly,
No.
I'm like normally I'm good. Like I like the artwork and normally it comes through, but it's not even a cardstock cover. It's the normal paper comic cover. So there's no real feel to it. Don't get me wrong. It's a 9, but it's in a 9.8 condition, and you can see what they're trying to do with it. But with stuff like that, it needs to be on cardstock so you can get the full effect of it. Like even with the 3D glasses on, it doesn't really look much different than it does looking at it with the naked eye. So I'm kind of like, it's a shame, but it is what it is.
People are literally ripping up their copies as we speak, Charlie.
That's honestly, I was pretty gutted. But Leon Russell's just joined. Sorry, I'm late. Don't worry about that, mate. You can make up the 12 minutes when we finish. Hydra Collectibles. He's finally stopped working for a day because he was literally, him and his assistant was carrying around that camera all day. They've got some great footage. If you haven't done so already, head over to Hydra Collectibles on YouTube. Check out. He's got cosplay on there. He's got the intro videos. He's got an interview with, well, I think he sat on a panel with Charlie Adlard, and he's talking about like omnibuses and stuff. Really, really great stuff. He's filmed it to perfection. And yeah, head over there. And that was another guy. Meeting him for a pint in the Weatherspoons. Great stuff. Amazing.
What more can you ask for?
Loved it. And yeah, we did. We just about made it. Home safe and sound.
No, I actually, myself, Sean, and James literally just made it home. Literally, it was touch and go for a few moments there, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But speaking of Sean, Sean on the Sunday surprised all of us by saying, "Guys, pick a comic," and we did. Well, I did, and I picked this Zoo cover up. And you picked up the Me You Love in the Dark. But not only I was a little bit cheeky, but I picked up 2 because they came together. So this is the trade dress and obviously the Virgin variant. And you can see there that Zoo was kind of, and how cool was Zoo as well? She was so sweet.
Oh my god, she was incredible. But as you said, like seriously, like I wasn't expecting that. Like we were going around getting the comic signed and stuff, and then Sean just pops up and was like, "Come here, guys, like come over." I think we was waiting for James Tinian to get a picture with James Tinian. Yeah. He just went, "Oh, pick a comic." I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, pick a comic." And I'm like, "Sean." But it's things like that. Like this is the first time we'd all met together, and I can honestly say, you're all amazing. Like everyone, like Hydra, Triple G, Mark Oldroyd, Optimist, James Comic Deal. You're all incredible, and it's really great to be a part of what we've set up and getting on with you guys. And obviously we've got Tim, the Hobgoblin. Like it was amazing. But a gesture like that really threw me. And yeah, it's just things like that that just make being part of this whole comic, doing YouTube videos and Instagram and stuff, just makes it all part of it. So massive thank you to Sean, you panel and a half pint superhero.
Panel and a half pint, definitely. No, as you say, it was great to meet everybody, and hopefully next year we'll get to meet even more people, and it will be super duper. Speaking of guys who are very, very thoughtful, I got this from Tom, who passed this on as I was standing in the queue for James Tynan, and I didn't get it signed because I was hungover. So I was super duper happy to get that. Thank you so much, Tom. Really appreciate it. And then I also got this as well. So the community is a very giving community. It was really nice to get all these nice comics when I'm standing in a queue. It was fantastic. And then you guys, tell them more about this, Charlie.
So
You
me and
guys.
Tom, obviously, we done it in stages. So me and Tom met up in Leeds because we was hoping to get there early because I think Andy on flight number 1, 4 or 7, don't know what flight he was on. We was all going to meet in Leeds. We was all going to grab a bit of bite to eat, go around OK Comics, have a look, and then make our way to Harrogate. James, yourself, and Panna and a half pint didn't make it. You ended up rocking up at like 4 o'clock. So me and Tom met in Leeds, went round to OK Comics, had a little bit of a look, and they had that there. They had Newburn, and it was signed by Chip Zdarsky.
How cool was that?
And it was just, we was like, and Tom was like, I'm going to get this as a treat for Andy. So he got it for a treat for you. But it's awesome. Like a little Polaroid signed like that. The only thing with OK Comics, they've got an amazing selection, but they don't backball their comics. So they're in comic bags, but they don't ball them.
Yeah, that keeps a cost in. I would imagine that's probably trying to keep it as cheap as chips. But yeah, if you're trying to keep it as a collector, then it can be a bit annoying. And then Mr. Hobgoblin Hideaway himself. As I'm standing in the queue on Sunday, gave me this as well. Thank you so much, mate. I really, really appreciate it. Again, I had a bit of a brain fart and didn't get it signed by Jock when I was standing in the queue. But
absolutely.
Thank you so much for that, Tim. Really, really appreciate it.
But the chat is absolutely buzzing. I think GP saying Weatherspoons where dreams come true. Yes, indeed. After you've had 15 pints,
nightmares are made.
15 pints for £4 isn't too bad. In person, both of those covers are stunning. Mark Oldroyd picked up 3 Zoo Orzu and a sketch. Amazing, lovely. Nice. You'll have to do a review on that on your YouTube, mate. Hobgoblin has to be one of the best shows I've ever attended with great company. Right back at you, son. Real Rude, yo, what's happening, Real Rude number 6? Hope you are well, my friend. Panels and a half pint, more than welcome, lads. Thank you so much for your company, Sean. And Connie Dalton, now she wants to go to Spoons. You can go Spoons, but go at around 10:30 because we're finished then. All right. But do you want to break into what you got signed, or are you not doing that, or is it just me?
I'm just going to show a couple of things that I really, really enjoyed picking up. So this was by an artist called Baz Renshaw. So this was kind of a late on the Sunday, and Baz was kind enough to be doing sketches for free. And this is one of my favorite characters is Boba Fett. So I don't know if this camera's doing it justice, but he literally done this within like 20 minutes. And when I was at Baz's kind of a table, I picked up this book here called Transition by Ace Renshaw, and it's absolutely fantastic. And Ace was kind enough to sign it for me as well. I also had the pleasure of meeting Bruce Knight, who is one of my friends from the Jock Fans of Jock Facebook group, and he stopped me in the line to getting some stuff signed by Jock, and he handed me this. So this was the poster that came free with the Losers Blu-ray disc, and you can see there that it was signed. I got it signed by Jock as well.
So I was slightly jealous when it came up and give you that. I was like, oh, what about me?
I couldn't believe it. And you can see just behind me as well, they were giving these away. The Amp Jam crew, who were like they do like posters and prints and stuff like that. So they were doing like, I think it was 150 copies. Yeah, definitely go check out the Amp Jam guys. And my big purchase of, and this will be my last thing here, the big purchase of the weekend was the Joker letterpress set. So Jock done a Joker, a Judge Dredd, and a Batman letterpress, and this was the third and final one that I had to pick up. So as soon as I saw that, I had to have it. Now, it took about 3 days to find out what the price of it was and to get it, but Keith, who was working on that stand, was really helpful. So thanks to him for making this happen. So,
and I'm sure you're going to open that and put it on Instagram, aren't you, for everyone to see?
Absolutely. I was saving it for the show before I'll put it up on Instagram.
Cool. But I'm just going to go through I'm just going to go through the top signings. Like I took like a suitcase full of comics to get signed. But I've just picked out a few of the ones that I actually did get. But before we do that, the chat, the Poptimist, still overwhelmed by Kirby Booth boss lady's gesture of the art book she gave me for Benj. So his story is, I was waiting to get some stuff signed by Ivan Coelho, and Darren was walking up and down looking at some stuff, like I'm in an iron whether to buy like these prints and stuff. And he walked up to Kirby's, mentioned that his little boy Benji is getting really into art and stuff like that. And as he picked up 2 posters to buy, the lovely lady at Kirby's Comics gave him an amazing sketchbook, and just said, yeah, if your son's into artwork, take this as a gift. And but it's just stuff like that. You wouldn't get that at MCM Comic Con. You wouldn't get it at anything like that. Where Thought Bubble is such an intimate convention, you can speak to people and artists and creators on a more direct level. You get to spend time with them. I mean, I think I sat down with like Al Ewing for 20 minutes just to talk, because there was no one in the queue. So yeah, it's stuff like that. So massive shout out to like Tula Latte, Chloe Green, and the whole of the red coats for like red coats. These ain't fucking buttons, red shirts that sorted everything out. Because honestly, it really, really is a great Thought Bubble convention, and I look forward to seeing you all there again. But I mean, I literally got done. I was talking about Ivan Coelho, so I asked for a signature. Dark Ages #1. He does a quick little remark of Venom there, so that was pretty cool. I got Joker, the full collection. I think I got 1 to 11 signed by Gillen March. His signature is just incredible. Really, really good.
Lovely.
Zoe Thurgood. Awesome. She was she was a great person.
Zoe's fantastic. Absolutely amazing.
We got this in Hope Lee variant of Immortal Hulk, so that's number 18, and then we've got number 17 done as well. Mr. Ram V on the old Catwoman. We got my favourite. It's Danny. Love Danny. Literally love Danny. We've got Jock on Batman Last Night on Earth, signing that one. And then it wouldn't have been complete if I hadn't got Something Is Killing the Children's 7th foil print by Mr. James Tynion himself. So I think overall, it was fantastic. It was amazing. It was great.
Definitely, it was absolutely amazing. So I think we've bowled everybody with our pickups. Should we get into the show?
Yeah, let's get into the show. But I'm going to play this. Fuzzy Dunlop mentioned how much he was really looking like how he was gutted that this jingle was going to end.
Yeah.
So.
No, wait a minute. I missed that there, Charlie. Could just one more time?
Well, yeah. I think I missed it. There we go. That is just for Mr. Fuzzy Dunlop himself. But it's over. Thought Bubble's over. But we have put together a few selected slides. So we have got what we've done. We have called it. What have we called it? I don't know what. There we go. We've called it When Two Worlds Collided, the Killer Comics Show and Thought Bubble. So I've just put together a few slides of some of the highlights of the weekend. Okay. So we've got obviously when we all first met. So obviously it's the panels and Half Pint, Comic Deal, and Mr. Perpetua on a plane. And then I think this is Sean because he was scared of flying. Is that
well, this is actually this is the before and after. So this is us coming over on the flight, and then the second one there is coming back because Sean was a little bit worse for wear. And he needed his rest. He's getting old, so that was us just making a little bit of fun of him.
And then we've got this one here where we all met for the first time. So you got Hobgoblin myself, you've got Sean, you've got Alan from Comics and Heroes, you've got myself, you've got Perpetual, you've got Comic Deal, and you've got Tom, Mr. Tom Malin. Awesome. That was in Weatherspoons at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so that was great. That was on a Friday. You've got Man Like Triple G and Perpetual. Loving that. And then you've got when me and Tom met at OK Comics, first of all. It feels like I'm showing my family my holiday pictures. And then this was the first day. So obviously this was us. I think we were sitting in the jock panel, wasn't it? It was the jock.
That was the
Tay.
jock panel, yeah. And I think the one on the left hand side is when we managed to. So we big shout out to Harry who organised to let us in before it kicked off at 10 a.m. on this Saturday, and we literally just sat there taking everything in, having a coffee, having a chat, and that was what was going on around us. So yeah, it gives you a feel for what it looked like.
But that picture on the left doesn't do it justice. Like it's
No.
so much bigger and so much busier than that. I think that's because we was in there like 9 o'clock in the morning. But
yeah, it was about 9 in the morning. Yeah.
Hydra said I was aiming to get my official thoughts and haul video on the event recorded today, but unfortunately couldn't be done. Mate, just drag it out. More views, drag it
Listen,
out.
perfection takes time. Look, don't you worry.
Exactly. Mark Holroyd, the artists and writers access is incredible at Thought Bubble, and all of them were so approachable and happy to talk to the fans. So true. Connie Dalton, really regret not going to Thought Bubble, but I was in Northern Ireland for a week. I'll go next year. Oi, oi. It's like we've rubbed the genie bottle and he has appeared. Oi, oi. How's it going, Pete? We've got delightful. So there we go. That's
wow.
Delightful. That is delightful, isn't it? And then we've got, what else have we got? So this was, for me, this was the best panel of the weekend.
That was superb.
So yeah. You've got Chip Mosher, who's one of the executive producers of Comixology. Is that correct?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got Tula Latay, who is the fantastic artist, and everyone knows her comics, and she's also the creator, I guess, of Thought Bubble.
Yeah. Director, creator. Yeah.
We've got the one and only Jock. I think they're watching the Killer Comic Show on her phone now. I think they're watching the Thought Bubble one.
You can just about see them hit the unsubscribe button.
We've got Mike Conrad, obviously the husband of Becky Clunan, and then we have. I'm going to refer to him as Richard Attenborough because I can't remember his name, and he looked like the guy from Jurassic Park.
That's really bad. Yeah, I'm sure somebody in the chat will be able to confirm who it is because he's done the likes of Elephant Man. I think that I remember him saying that was one of the books that he had done.
Yep.
But yeah, what a panel that was! It
was great. It was great.
It was a great start. It was a great start to the panels.
It was awesome. Chip Mosher was obviously jet lagged, he said, but I don't think the 15 bottles of wine helped as well.
Exactly. Worse for wear.
But yeah, that was a good panel. And then obviously we went into just some signings. So obviously on the left, you've got the Jock stand when he was doing the signings of the One Dark Night AMP poster. We've got Baz Renshaw. I think he's drawing this one that he drew, the Optimus Prime. And it does say up there, the only Transformers film that counts came out in 1986. Totally agree with that. Look at that. And then we've got Mr. Gillen March drawing just a cover for Carmen, which was great. But it was just so good just to stand there and watch him do it. Then we have a few other artists. We've got Stephanie Lavida. She was drawing Yoda. And then we have Ivan Coelho doing the Spider-Man sketch, as you casually do if you're bored. These are just some of the fantastic guests that we highlighted on the Creative Spotlight. So we thought we'd get some pictures with them. We've got obviously the fantastic and amazing Danny. We have James Tinian. We've got Mr. Ram V, Al Ewing, and the bottom right, we've got Zoe Thorogood and her friend that was in a mask, something out of Fortnite all weekend, and it looked great. So
it looked amazing. And do you know that I thought that the fantastic thing was when we went up to a lot of these creators and stuff like that, they thanked us for doing the show, which was completely amazing. So yeah, it was just nice to be able to go up and meet them, and specifically when we were doing the panel and stuff like that, and Jock come up to us and say, "Oh, you're the guys that done the show and stuff like that." So yeah, it was pretty surreal at times.
So that was that, and then just to finish off this slide, it was so that was the end of Thought Bubble, but we also want to show this. There we go. Look, just a little snippet. That's all you're getting. It was just a little snippet of Mr. Comic Bill.
It was a little tease.
Just perpetual. But yeah, it was great Thought Bubble. But let's jump into the show now. Let's jump into the show. Okay, so sit back for 25 minutes as we do this intro.
can just imagine Tom doing his wee
There we
wee
go.
dance.
Yeah. Shout out to Tom. I think he's at a work conference tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's not
Doing
here.
something.
That's
He's not here. But this is obviously the killer covers of November 17th. We have the reigning champion. We've got two reigning champions in tonight. We've got the reigning champion of the killer covers.
I think Tom's the champion. I think he's won 4 times. So he
Really?
overtook me. Yeah, he overtook me
Sure?
last week. Yeah.
What happened? Like, I don't think anyone know who won last week. Andy, what happened, mate?
So whenever I was told last minute, like last minute that
Mhm.
I had to host the show and stuff, I may have had a lot on my mind, and anxiety kicked in, and sweats pouring off me, and I may have forgot to announce who the winner of the killer covers was last week. I'm sorry, Charlie. I'm sorry.
And it was Tom. It was Tom that won it last week. But so we've got one reigning champion that's out tonight, but we do have another one. The reigning, defending, undisputed #community arm wrestling champion of Thought Bubble. Yeah, he did. He won it. He won it all fair and square. All fair and square.
I lost 4 times.
He did lose 4 times. Mr. Jason Parker, thank you for joining us, sir. He had proper FOMO seeing all the pics on Facebook. That's only half of them. We didn't want to put up more because we'd be
That's the work safe ones that we showed, to be fair.
And there he is. Mark has just hit the nail on the head. Danny was super nice. Yes, she was. And I tell you what, she gives good cuddles. Amazing cuddles. Really, really good cuddles. Really, really good cuddles. It looks like you're holding Tinian up, Dick Turpin style. Maybe we are. Maybe we are. It was, yeah. He stood there for ages because Sean couldn't get the focus on his phone. And he was standing there with his mouth open, like, oh, he's shocked. And then he was like, oh, fuck's sake, come on.
I didn't actually realise he was doing it until I seen the picture on the phone.
But this is killer covers for November 17. Up first. Here we go. So go on, Andy. Go on, son. Tell him what you've done this week.
Guys, we're kicking off. We're not leaving the best till last. We're starting with the best, guys. This is Suicide Squad King Shark issue number 3. This is cover B. Bear in mind, this is an open order cover, and this is by the fantastic Francesco Mattina. Nom. That's all I have to say, guys. Next one. Go for it, Charlie.
I do. I've got to say, when you put this, I was like, this is great. It's
unbelievable.
I like his necklace.
Yeah, it's the best. It's arguably the best King Shark cover I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw it out there, and I think this should be the one that everybody should be voting for.
Okay, and then we would have Tom, but Tom didn't pick one this week, so I've gone with. This is the first Peach Momoko cover I think I've ever liked. She's done some fantastic stuff. She's done some amazing stuff, but it's not my cup of tea. And I see this, and I was like, this is great. This is a really, really good cover. Like the detailing on it, on the eyes and stuff. I thought it was really, really good.
I'm going to call it now, Charlie. I think you were struggling this week to find a cover.
I think I was, to be fair, because there was nothing available. There was nothing available. You won. Like you picked it, and I was like, oh, gutted. But yeah, you did pretty.
The Poptimist likes the Vader.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it is a good cover, but there was nothing out. It was slim pickings this week, if I'm being honest. It was slim pickings.
Yeah, it was. I mean, a lot of the store variants were the sort of books to go for, and that's the thing. We don't know if the books are actually going to come out that week that we're talking about, because they keep being delayed at the minute. So you could pick a cover one week and it appears the next week as well. But
that's what Tom did. Tom picked it for this week, but unfortunately it didn't come out this week. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to literally launch the poll in the chat. We've got that poll going, so we will just literally see how that pans out throughout the night. But I mean, it could be a close call. It might not be. I mean, I think Popton is like, holy shit, that Vader is good. Padawan Collector, I need that Peaches Vader cover. The Momoko stuff, though, in fairness, exactly, it is good. It's just not my cup of tea. Some of the stuff I think it's a bit like abstract and it's a bit too light.
Yeah.
But
I like it when she does like horror stuff, because I think that's where our origins lie, and whenever she gets the time to do backgrounds to her pictures that let it pop, because you'll actually notice a lot of her recent stuff, because she's been so busy, it's just the character and nothing in the background. I think it suffers for that.
But I'm just going to flip through the covers again. So obviously this is my choice. and then we've got King Shark as well. I think it's going to be a pretty close week. Nom Nom or I Am Your Father. I don't know, that sounded like Venom with a cold, but hey ho. But they're the two covers of the week. Get your votes in over on YouTube, and this week I will let you know who wins. I won't just do a, oh no, we've got to go now, bye, and then just turn it off. So,
Wow.
but there we go. So that's the cover picks of the week. But this week is week 45 review, and I just really, this is how close it was on YouTube. So obviously we do the poll on YouTube for the YouTube viewers to pick what fourth comic they want us to review. Now up until this afternoon, it was A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance #2, and then at the last minute it changed to May's book yesterday afternoon. So it's changed to May's book. So the 4 comics we are reviewing tonight are Venom #1, which was chosen by Tom. You've got What's the Furthest Place From Here, which was chosen by your lovely self. Stillwater, which was a given, chosen by me. And then we do have May's book issue #3. So up first, we have Andy. So over to you, mate.
Yeah, so this is What's the Furthest Place From Here, issue #1. This is written by Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss, who you may remember done 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank, which was a 4-issue series that I believe got optioned, if I'm not right. So yeah, I've been really looking forward to this one. You can see the main cover there by Tyler Boss. You can see the 1 in 100 Virgin variant by Jenny Frison, which is amazing. And once you're amazing, and once you actually read this story, you actually appreciate this cover even more. Charlie will know exactly what I'm talking about here. You've got the Scott Young cover, which is a little bit more out of his, what he normally does, but I like it nonetheless. And then you've got the absolutely amazing John Gallagher Virgin variant as well.
And we also have a pixel.
Oh, we've got more. Nice.
We do have more.
So the interesting thing about this book is it's centered around music. So Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss wanted to portray the love of music through a comic book. And if you think about it, collecting records and collecting comic books is a really similar thing. And the fact that, you want to keep it pristine, you want to get limited edition items and so on and so forth. So this comic actually came with the opportunity of buying a 7-inch record that I think had 2 or 3 songs on it that were picked and made especially for the comic. So almost you could read the comic, listen to the record, and it would complement the story. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool concept. You've got the Ivan Tail Virgin Variant B. You've got the Brian Michael Bendis cover, which is pretty cool as well. And then you've got the 1 in 50 variant by Marcos Martin. And I think that's just the tip of the iceberg when it came to these covers. I think there was a lot more, wasn't there?
I think there was 17 in total. So I just obviously picked like the top 8 that I thought
were the top ones.
Were good. But yeah.
Yeah, no, but this story was about angst, music, gang violence, in a post-apocalyptic world.
There we go.
That kind of sums it up in one sentence. Doing post-apocalyptic stories can be quite a difficult thing to do, as far as I'm concerned, because it's what's there something new that you can do about post-apocalyptic stuff, and it would happen. It's hard to imagine how somebody could actually reimagine it, but I think in this book, I think Matthew Rosenberg has done it really, really well, and he's done it through music. So I'll read a little bit of the synopsis that they had. So the world has ended, and the only people that remain are gangs of children living amongst the ruins. It centers around the main character Sid, who believes there's more out there and stumbles into the wilderness. And basically, issue 1 sets us up to discover what is out there and the art of survival with nothing but hope and your favorite record, which I think is really, really cool. So basically, each of these gang members, as part of their identity, pick a record, and it's that record that would determine what gang they go into. So all the punks are in the gang called the Academy, and it's because they've picked a punk record that defines them, that they identify with. I don't know if you agree, Charlie, that this book raised lots and lots of questions in issue 1.
Yeah, for a first issue, I was kind of like, I'm definitely interested in issue #2. I'm definitely going to be picking them up. Definitely.
So how did they get in this post-apocalyptic situation? It's like, as soon as you open up page 1, you're basically like diving straight in head first into it. Why do the kids in the story fear growing up? That I don't quite understand it, and I'm hoping that issue 2 will go a little bit deeper, because issue 1 was more about introducing us to Sid, introducing us to the character, and more setting up the environment of this story. The story for me screamed attitude. It was just, it was a cool book to have, and I think just that something having a little bit different, I've been able to have an actual physical vinyl record that you can play with it. It's just something I've never really seen before. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the artwork, and I think this for me was an absolute killer.
It's interesting you say that, because I kind of, like, going back to some of the covers, when I first see cover C by Scott Young, I'm a massive Scott Young fan, love Scott Young. The first thing that came to mind was 1, Gorillas, and 2, Ellipsis from Crossover.
100%. Yeah, it had that sort of vibe about it, didn't it?
And also, with the masks that you'll see here, it very much reminded me of The Strangers. The film,
Yes.
why have you broken into our house? Because you're here. On the story front, Rosenberg's done something smart. You either start a story where you kind of build up to what you understand, why they're like, why you're reading this story, like what's come before it, like what you're into, or you literally just jump straight into it mid-sentence and you're already in there. And for me, this is one of the first comics I've read in a while, actually, where I've jumped in and I felt I jumped in halfway through the story, and I was eager to read it, to think, I want to know how they got here. Like, I actually want to know. I'm invested in this. I want to know about the character development. I want to know about how they've got in this situation, and why they're kids, and why they're scared of growing up, and why they're in a record store. Do you know what I mean? So it's a very smart way of doing it, and it's a very smart way of grabbing the reader's attention, because it did it for me. It might not do it for other people, but I really enjoyed it, and I was like, this is really smart of how you've done this, because, again, if you hadn't pointed this out, we say it time and time again, these comics on here, we do it so you can vary your reading and everything. I wouldn't have picked this up, but I'm now invested now, and I'm thinking I definitely want to see how this pans out, because I want to know what's happened to the world. Is it the current world? Is it in the future? Do you know what I mean? So I'm really, really interested. And this issue, these Jenny Frison cover, the handprint, I think that's going to be quite significant. I think 100%. It's going to 100% going to be quite significant. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I'm to blame for a lot of people picking up books they probably wouldn't normally pick up. But I was just like, once you've read the story, each of those covers means something, and you can relate to them. And I think that's hats off to Rosenberg and Tyler Boss, is that they've made these characters and situations instantly relatable, and you feel invested in them. I think we use that term a lot, is that are you invested in the characters? I don't know one thing if you picked it up, but with regards to the speech bubbles, that if a character, and I've never seen this before in a comic, it might be something that's just normal, but for me, it was the first time. Whenever a character was sort of talking over one another, they would do the speech bubble slightly in front of another, so you couldn't read it all. And I thought that was really smart as well. So I kind of gave my proverbial tip of the cap. But if I had to sum up this comic, it would be, it kind of feels like Mad Max meets High Fidelity. That's kind of how I felt after reading it.
But they said at the start of it, based on a true story.
I don't. That was interesting as well. I don't know if that was just to sort of lure us in, to keep us reading, but it'll be interesting. Who knows?
But I think if anyone has grown up in a post-apocalyptic place in a record store, drop in the chat and let me know, because I'd be really, really interested. But the Poptimist has said there's quite a cool Watchmen style cover with the pig face and blood splatter. See, there's so many. I think there was like 17 or 18 covers. But I mean, I love the Porky Pig element of it. I really, really do. For me, I'm gonna say it's a killer, because straight from the off, it got me invested. It got me interested in it. I was like, how is this even? You're starting halfway through. It's like a situation had already happened, and you was like literally thrown into it. I mean, I think there was a guy in the toilet. I think he's pulling out his teeth or something. And
I said to you once we'd read it, I was like I was messaging you and Tom, saying like, what's your favourite band?
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to think about that? What's your favourite band, Charlie?
Do you know what?
Pick a record.
No, I didn't. Do you know what? I really didn't. I think because it would have been such a great thing to do, like amongst three of us, because it would have been see how diverse our
Yeah.
record like
Our
collection
music
is.
taste as well. Maybe the guys in the chat, if you had to pick a band or a record that you have to identify with in a post-apocalyptic world, what would it be? For me, it would be The Holy Bible by the Manic Street Preachers. That would be my album that I would pick.
That's a good album. That is a good album. It'd be interesting to see what people say. I'm going to go with I don't know, One Direction. I'm only young.
Nailed it. You committed there. I like it. I like
I've
it.
committed. But Mark Alderwood, 18 variant covers is crazy. What is your layout to get them all? I'm not even going to do the layout to get them all. It's ridiculous. If you used to watch my 12 p.m. show on a Monday, I used to cover about 175 Vampirella variant covers. It was literally ridiculous. From
And that was
Dynamite.
just my pull list.
And that was just his pull list. But for me, this is definitely a killer. What's the furthest place from here? It is. Do you know if this is a 6 or 12, or is it like a mini?
I think this is a 5-issue run, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm
Okay.
sure somebody can Google it in a minute. But again, I think a lot of people might bypass this book and not pick it up. But I would strongly suggest you give issue 1 specifically if you enjoy music.
But your question's got the groups chatting. Definitely a Gorillaz vibe. I like the LP choices, but the creators, including Joy Davis, The Division. Yep,
Joy
and
Division,
then we've got Bob Dylan. The times they
yes.
are changing. See?
Yes, Mark.
Old school. But this is definitely a killer for me, 100%. I'm looking forward to reading what's up in store. And I think the artwork's really well done, and the dialogue as well.
It's one of the, it's really cliche to say, but the artwork completely complements the story and the vibe that it's kind of given off. You can't imagine any other artist diving into this.
No.
Like you get your typical clean Marvel looking books. It just wouldn't have suited this. This feels like a grungy indie book that you would. There's not a huge amount of covers and it's not available everywhere. It just feels like one of those things that you feel is part of a group or your own gang by picking it up because not everybody knows about it.
For me, this is definitely a comic book that, as Jock would say, you would roll it up and stick it in your back pocket.
Not with that vinyl in it, because that
would be health and safety. So, but yeah, we've got more songs. We've got I'll Be on Morrison Hotel, The Doors.
Tune.
We've got Talking Heads, Life During Wartime would be a good one for a post-apocalyptic world. Of course, Gore Vidal just drops a mic and walks off stage.
Listen, this jam has fantastic taste.
It does, doesn't it? It really, really does. Up next, we've got Tom's pick. So obviously, this is the highly, highly anticipated Venom #1. Now, obviously, the Donny Cates run was, let's be honest, it was incredible. It's pretty sensational. But now they've handed over the chains. I was going to say reins, but obviously kids love chains. They've handed over the chains to the fantastic Al Ewing and Ram V on the right hand side of things, and then they've got Brian Hitch on the art. Now you've got 3 horror writers there, or you've got 2 horror writers, and Brian Hitch is a fantastic horror genre artist. So what was in store for this was, I think it was going to be totally different to what we got from Donny Cates. We had the main cover by Brian Hitch. I think it was 30 odd variant covers for this. I've only picked 8 of them. We've got the main cover by Brian Hitch. We've got the Todd Nulch headshot variant cover. We've got the fantastic Mike Mayhew variant #1s of the trainers. I'm getting pretty bored of these trainer covers, if I'm being honest. Mike Mayhew does amazing stuff, but every other cover he's putting out at the moment is a trainer, is a pair of trainers.
And you know the thing is, it's never going to stop because they sell like hotcakes because of all the shoe heads.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We've got Mr. Marco Maestrazzo with a Virgin Variant B. Loving that.
That's a sweet cover.
We've got a Mike McConaughey. This is the Comic Con exclusive. We've got the Tyler Kirkham Variant A, which is obviously a homage. We have a Raf Grassetti Comic Tom 101 exclusive. And we've got, this came out, this was for a Halloween special release. This was the Clayton Crane Variant A, and obviously there was a Variant B as well. But for me, this story, there's a lot to be desired, if I'm honest. With Venom Venom 200, Venom 35 ended on such a high. It was like the passing of the chains. It was going from we went from Eddie Brock and we went to his son Dylan. So I was all expecting, it's all going to be Dylan. It's all going to be about Dylan. I was pleasantly surprised when it started off, and we still got quite a significant amount of Eddie Brock.
And not only did we get a lot of Eddie Brock, but we get quite a lot of exposition about Eddie Brock, having just went through how many issues for Donny Cates' run?
It's 30, yeah. 30, was it 35? It was 35.
30-ish, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, for me, I'm into it. I'm into Venom. I'm a massive Venom fan. I really, really like it. And Donny Cates has got a lot to do with that. So thanks for that. But we've got two fantastic writers. We've got Al Ewing, who's just jumped off the back of issue 50 from the Hulk. And then we've got Ram V, who's done a sensational comic run of The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. So these two people coming together to write Venom, I was expecting massive things. And do you know what? My expectations were met, because this comic, issue 1 leaves a lot to be desired. But I think if I'm being honest, I think this is a better number 1 than Donny Cates' issue number 1.
Oof.
Controversial, I know, but
controversial.
I loved it. I loved the fact that it was just, is Donny Cates dead? And not Donny Cates, bloody Eddie Brock.
Spoilers.
is Eddie Brock dead? Are we going to see another side of Dylan? Are we going to see him be absorbed by Venom and a symbiote? Do you know what? And I think it's true what the Poptimus said. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And it was honest. I loved it.
No, I agree with you. I think this issue did have a lot of expectation with it, and they've got two writers here that know exactly what they're doing. I think for me, this issue picked up pretty much effortlessly from where they left off, and I wasn't too sure how they were going to do that, but I think they nailed it. As you say, there was a lot of exposition at the start, but I don't think it's any sort of coincidence that we've kind of moved from sort of the depths of the city to in space, because what Al Ewing does best is tell stories from space. He's done it with the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, when they're dead, that's what he does best for me. I was surprised with the amount of exposition with Dylan, and there was points he came across as a bit of a dick. He was talking about how good he is and how cool he is, and definitely sort of Brian Hitch has sort of drawn Venom. He looks a lot slender, and I don't know if that's because he's in space and all that, but he doesn't seem as bulky. And this, and again, I wasn't too sure if I liked that. I think I like the bigger Venom. Certainly the representations on the covers that you're showing there isn't what you actually get in the book. I think it sort of, I thought he was a little bit of a dick sometimes, but he's a god now, so he's allowed to be like that, I guess. And I love the way that you've obviously got Al writing from Eddie's perspective, and then you've got Ram, who is doing the other side, who he's sort of portraying Dylan. And I think it clearly shows that Ram understands that sort of connection and fragility of Eddie and Dylan's relationship, because I think there's going to be two stories told with this. And the one that I'm really interested in seeing is that sort of father-son relationship. Because I don't know if you could, if you go from the first issue, but it was quite clear that, Dylan is, he played a massive part in saving the world in the last run, but effectively he's still a kid. He still messes up, still gets into fights, and I think in this book it's quite clear that he just wants to be loved by his dad, and his dad's not here because he's away being a god. So for me, I thought this was a growing book on me. I think it's one of those ones maybe a couple of times you'll appreciate it. I'll definitely be checking out issue number 2, and I just hope that we get more of that father-son relationship, and whether that relationship grows or whether it kind of dies.
Well, it was 38 pages of Venom, and I think we spoke when we highlighted it last week. How was it going to be written? Was it going to be two separate stories? Was they each going to contribute to both the characters? And I think reading it, and I think reading it is clear to see that we've got the perspective from Eddie and we've got the perspective of Dylan. But I think this is definitely going to be more father and son orientated about the whole Venom universe, because obviously Eddie Brock now is the King in Black. He's kind of taken on like the law. He's become the king of the symbiotes, and he's kind of floating around, and they're answering to him and stuff like that. So it's interesting. Like I'm looking forward to seeing how that story pans out with him in space and stuff. And obviously, as you mentioned, Al Ewing, as he's incredible at doing that. He's really good Guardians of the Galaxy, where he only finds you when you're dead. But he can also come back to Earth with the supernatural stuff and do like the Hulk. So it's going to be interesting to see the partnership between him and Ram V and how it works with the dialogue and the art and everything.
No, 100%. I thought it was interesting. Apologies who's not read it, but we obviously got to see Kang the Conqueror in the book as well. So obviously we've got more than one Venom. We've got more than one Eddie. We'll probably have more than one Dylan. So are these all variants that we're seeing?
And this is it. I think this is opening up this is opening up different aspects now. It really is opening up different aspects, and I'm looking forward to it. And as Poptimus said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I'm glad I'm in this. Like, I'm glad I'm looking forward to this, because Al Ewing, Ram V, Brian Hitch, 3 fantastic artists and writers. And it's just good to have a solid. It's going to be interesting to see if they're doing it for the whole thing, or because I think the artist, who was the artist on Donny Cates's? It was
Stegman.
Right, Ryan Stegman. He kind of switched halfway through, and then Ivan Coelho kind of did some stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But it's a good, solid first issue. I thought it was better than Donny Cates's one, if I'm being honest. I thought there was more to get your teeth into. There was more in-depth character building, especially on Dylan, from what we see from him in issue Donny Cates's run, where we got glimpses of him, and it all kind of centered around him. I think this is going to be very, very much centered on him and Eddie's relationship now. And yeah, I'm loving the new Venom. I'm loving the new Venom suit. I love his chains. They look great.
I think if there's anybody who hasn't read the last Cates and Stegman run, I think you'll have a lot more questions after the first issue. But I don't think that should stop you from jumping into issue 1, because it feels like a completely different vibe that they're going for in this book. And I think this will be a good standalone story that you can get your teeth into.
It was definitely killer for me. 100%.
Killer for me. 100%.
That's 2 killers out of 2 killers. Up next, we have Stillwater. Now, this, if you've been following us since we started doing this, Stillwater is fantastic. Obviously by Chip Zdarsky, Mike Spicer, and obviously Ramon Perez. This is a comic that I will literally, if I go into my LCS, I will pick it up straight away. This is the first comic on my pull list every week when it's out. It's the first comic I will look to read when it's New Comic Book Day, and it never ever fails. Never fails. I'm lost for words every time I read this comic, because when I think you can't get any better, it does. And it is just
most consistent
100%
book this year, potentially.
For 11 issues in, being this consistent, that's a hard feat. Like, let's be honest. To be consistent for 12, 13, 14, 11, 12, 13 issues of a 30-page comic, now we have had 1 or 2 issues where it's been a bit like, oh, but it was still consistent, because there were still plots in the story that you were like, this is awesome. This is like Chip Zdarsky has really done some special stuff over the years, but I think this has to be one of his greatest. This Stillwater's fantastic. Absolutely amazing. Everything in it, the story, the plots, the character development, the artwork, the whole dialogue. And as a comic, this is what I really want from a comic. I want something I can sit down and read and think, this shit's good. This shit's good.
I thought the last issue kind of felt like you were at the cinema and you'd went for a pee break and you'd come back and this is the next issue that you're diving into, because there's absolutely no time to breathe. This is no time to relax. It's going at 100 miles an hour, and it seems like from the first arc to this arc, it's like it's a different time. It's the same town, and it's effectively the same problems that they got, but it's just under a different rule. And I think this arc is a more edgier arc. They've set up the characters, they've set up the environment, and now they're just going to go, I think, almost complete Walking Dead on us in this one, where it's just, there's so much tension that they're building up. And it's kudos to Chip Zdarsky's writing that he's able to keep that level of tension and suspense all through 11 issues. because there hasn't been one filler issue in this.
No.
So yeah, I loved it.
And do you know what? Like the fact is that I love about it, it just gets better and better. Like it just keeps getting. You think you've seen all from the characters, and then all of a sudden something else pops up.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of sort of dark undertones in this issue, and it is a little bit like being at the movies because you just don't know what the next turn's going to take. It's that suspense of turning the page to see what's going to happen, and especially when you get to that final page, because every final panel or page in each of these issues has set you up wanting just a little bit more. And the interesting thing will be is I don't know how many issues this run's going to be, but how do they end this? How does this finish? Because it'll be a sad day.
The ending. So on the previous issue, it was one of the characters had left, and she had taken two boys with her to, like, she was able to leave, and the townspeople of Stillwater turned around and said, right, if what's his name? The main character, John. There we go with John. John. They turned around to John and said, right, if you leave, your mum dies, and if she tries to go away, you die. And it's just that, like, oh, how is this going to pan out? And then obviously at the end of this issue, she comes back and says, right, I'm here for my son. So obviously something's developed.
And she's like turned into some sort of like badass character in the 2 or 3 issues that she's been away.
And yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Just want to give a massive shout out to Skinny Boy 5000. Now, obviously, this is a purple logo. I thought we'd branch out. So now we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we're on Twitch as well.
Oh, you should have told me we were on Twitch. I've done my hair.
Right. So, see, but Twitch is obviously a gaming website, so I thought we'd just try it. There's probably no one watching because we're not gamers. We're not playing anything.
Not yet.
We're just playing the roles of people that know about comics.
Well, we're trying.
Well, we're trying anyway. But again, this is another killer for me. We're on a roll. We've got 3 killer comics out of 3 so far. Andy, what about yourself, mate?
It's crazy. This is another killer. This, it just does what it says in the tin. If you're not reading this series yet, then you're missing it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, definitely pick this up. Definitely pick this up. And last but not least, we have the viewers of YouTube choice. We have May's book, issue number 3, written and art by Jeff Lemire, and then we have the letters by Steve Wands, and then it was designed by Tom Muller. We've got main cover by Jeff Lemire, and we've got cover B by Gabriel Hernandez Volta. Go on, son.
I like what you did there. I'm so glad that this was chosen as the people's choice. It definitely tells me that they've got good taste, first and foremost. I think if we cast our mind back to the second issue, I'd sort of mentioned what it felt a little bit samey from what I'd done. There was nothing kind of new, and I kind of have to take my hat off to Jeff Lemire because he's kind of proved me wrong and opened my eyes up to potentially what's actually going on in this 5-issue run. I think this is Jeff Lemire's best work that I've ever read. I think this was the standout pick of the week for in my opinion. The character development that Jeff's done with the main character in this kind of a maze type situation. This particular issue kind of stopped you in your tracks where you kind of got that sense of overwhelming hopelessness, but there's that little bit of kind of an optimism that surrounds this book, and that is the key to wanting you to read the next issue and the next issue, because you want to find out what's happening with this guy. It's my theory. So the story, I don't know if you want to go into Charlie's story of where this book went in issue 3.
For me, so the overall concept of this is that a husband and wife, they've lost their daughter. And when I say lost, unfortunately, she's passed away. But in issue 1, he works for a building company, and he's like a surveyor, and he goes down and signs off buildings and stuff like that. But I think the witching hour like 12 minutes past 3 in the morning. It's around that time. He gets a call on his mobile phone, and his wife's moved on. She's married again, and I think she's got another child, hasn't she? Yeah. She's got another child. Yeah. But it's been 10 years. It is 10 years. Yeah, and he hasn't moved on. He's kind of still living in hope that he will find his daughter one day. He's kind of grieving as anyone would in that situation. So issue 1 is the character building of that, and it kind of ends with a what if. Issue number 2 kind of builds on that. And again, you kind of see him trying to search. He's trying to find out more. He interacts with his wife, and she's kind of like, stop being stupid. Like, she's gone. She's not coming back, but he won't let it go. And then issue 2 ends. And then it's very surprising that Sean put in the chat that we mentioned after issue 2, we was like, it's getting a bit tiresome now. Like, it's getting a bit bored. It's not moving on. And then Sean, I think it's one of the most in-depth comments he's ever said was, well, like a maze, you kind of get lost in a maze and you go round and round and you go backwards and forwards and you kind of get lost and you don't really move on. And then I think, Andy, I messaged you and was like, wow.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard Sean saying something as inspirational as that, but it kind of was in the back of my mind whenever I was reading this issue. And this issue kind of takes off where he's obviously still searching for his child, but we kind of get introduced a little bit more to his next door neighbor, I believe it is. And they start discussing what's going on, and she kind of plays that role of like the sort of psychiatrist and, you know, looking after him and stuff. And she kind of plays that role of giving them a little bit of hope. So she can kind of tell that things aren't quite right, and everybody's kind of like, oh, is this guy having a breakdown? And I think that's where this 5-issue book might be. I think this might be an in-depth look to one man's breakdown after the loss of his child. I think the maze is his mind. I think every single issue we're actually in his mind, and everything is not real. It's just a figment of his imagination. We saw what we believe is his daughter in the 2nd issue, and then in the 3rd issue we see this dog. And this dog ties into his next door neighbor character because she mentions that her dog ran away. And it's, I think what was really telling about this issue, and probably 2 or 3 of the best pages that I've read and visually seen, was when he's standing, he goes to the middle of the maze, he thinks he knows where his daughter is, and it's a big brick wall. And he just stands at the brick wall, and there's 3 panels that show him just kind of realizing that he's effectively hit the brick wall and there's nowhere else to go, and he starts punching that wall. And that's what kind of made me think that, yeah, is this actually real life? Is it a true story? Or are we just seeing one person's sort of breakdown from issue to issue?
And this is the thing with Jeff Lemire. He is amazing. The way that he writes and his artistic talents. He's very good at grabbing hold of family emotion and emotion from the characters individually, or in every single panel. It's kind of a different, and it does take you on a ride. Like, it really, really does. I mentioned it time and time again when we review this comic, Family Tree. Now, it sounds like the premise of the story is that what would you ever do if a close family member of yours became a tree? Now, when I first read that, I was like, are you having a laugh? Like, why am I going to read a comic book about someone becoming a tree? I read it, absolutely loved it, like proper got into it. And I think I got into it because of the fact that the way that the characters are developed and portrayed, and the narrative of the whole comic, is it draws you in, and it draws you away from the fact that you're reading a comic about a disease that turns you into a tree. Now, with this comic Maze book, I got into it thinking, ironically, I'm going to get lost in this comic because I love Jeff Lemire, and I found myself lost in this comic. And excuse the pun, but yeah, it is like a maze, but it's an emotional roller coaster, because anyone in that predicament of losing a loved one or losing a close friend and stuff, you are going to hit that wall, and you literally are going to hit that wall where all emotion fails. You feel like you can't do anything else, and then it's kind of like, where do we go from here? And I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it is, we're slowly witnessing this downfall of the character.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting. One of the other books that we love was The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. So there's kind of a running theme here that anything to do with, you know, raw emotion in a book. We see it in Made in Korea as well, which we're looking forward to the final issue coming out. It seems to be the books that sort of mean the most to us whenever we're reading them. So yeah, I absolutely love this. This is a complete killer for me.
And as Gorverdale said, death of a loved one and survivor's guilt is a common Lemire theme. He used in Old Man Logan, exactly Broad City, and now in Maysville. Yeah, see, I mean, he's clearly got a trait. He's clearly got something that he's good at. And this, again, it's been an absolute killer week. Last week was a killer week for comics because obviously we're a week behind. So reading these comics this week was amazing. So this is 4 killers out of 4. 4 killers out of 4.
That's pretty crazy, yeah. we don't normally have that. And in fairness, last week there was like a bunch of other comics that we could have happily brought up and reviewed in this show, but I think we picked really, really well here. For me, it was a top week, and I'm glad I left this book to the end because I think my feelings about the other 3 books would have been different if I'd have read this first.
And this is the good thing. This is why we kind of get the chat and the community involved, because obviously there's vast amounts of comics that come out every week, and we kind of just pick our 3 that we're interested in reading.
Yeah,
we would have read this, but we didn't
privately.
So, yeah, and it's really good that you guys picked it on the YouTube the poll system. So talking about polls, let's have a quick look. So Star Wars, my cover's on 38%, and King Shark is swimming away with it at 62%. We've got another half hour, 40 minutes of that, so let's see how that pans out. But I mean, look, we've got Connie Dalton. She says he also used death of a loved one in Snow Angels too. Snow Angels, fantastic, absolutely amazing. If you haven't read it yet, head over to Comixology. I'm still trying to work out how to work Comixology. I think I sent Andy about 30 messages the other day. How'd you do this? How'd you do that? Well, I've got this, but I ain't got that, so I couldn't work it out. So if anyone else wants to drop me some messages and let me know, please do. But also, there's a nice comic over there from.
I think I worked it out. Sorry to interrupt you, buddy. I think you're logging into the American Comixology as opposed to the UK Comixology, and that's why it's not linking up to your Amazon Prime.
Right, you might have to let me know because I really want to read Michael Conrad's Tremodors. That he kept saying it was free. It's free to read. It's free to read. Free to read. So yeah, if you have got Comixology, head over there, Michael Conrad, and read Tremodors, and let me know what it's like, so I can, when I finally work out how to use it, I can use it. Brief, but yeah. Another fantastic comic, but yeah, definitely pick this up. Seriously,
do yourself a favor and pick it up. Yeah,
do yourself a favor, pick it up. Yeah, look, I read Tremodors. See, right, Connie, you can message me on Instagram and let me know because I really want to read that. I mean, it was promoted highly at Thought Bubble, so I'm really looking forward to reading it. But yeah, talking about like this is kind of like indie comics and stuff. This is probably one of the best intros on YouTube.
This is Andy's fault from Perpetual Comics. Pep.
I'm so disappointed we didn't get him to do that live at Thought Bubble.
Do you know what? Having met Pete now, like in the flesh, he's an absolute gent. Like he's so, and the only one thing he did that was pretty wrong, we bought them killer shots. They were disgusting. I don't even know what they were. But then he redeemed himself and went and bought a round of Jaeger bombs. So that was good. That was good.
Yeah, he just kind of escaped to the bar every so often and brought back trays full of shots and stuff. And these shots sort of burned all the way down and like singed your nose hairs. They were that bad. But
I don't know where he was getting them from, but he weren't getting them from the bar.
Ask no questions, be told no lies. That's what they say.
But here we go, Andy. It's your segment. Take it away, sunshine.
Killer Indies for November 24th. So just a caveat before we start this. Everybody knows that the comics are delayed, so there is a really, really good chance that the comics on here are wrong date, and it's probably going to be pushed out to the following week, or they've already appeared on the shelves. So, let's just roll with it. First up, we have House of Slaughter issue number 2. James Tynan, we'll get Tate Brombal as well on writing duties, and we'll get Weather Del Idera. Did I pronounce that right? I committed. From Boom Studios. I really enjoyed the first issue. I think it had a lot of expectations riding on it. But this is James Tynan that we're talking about here, and he does not let anybody down when it comes to these sort of stories. And I think this is really going to be a nice compliment to Killing the Children. So really looking forward to picking this up.
He's doing the pose. The guy in the picture's doing the pose that Tinian was doing behind us.
Yes, hands up. Maybe that's what he was doing. He was subliminally selling issue number 2 of this book to us.
But we spoke about this, didn't we? We was like, now, would this get the same traction if it wasn't for Something's Killing the Children? Now, I think we said that issue number 1 wasn't as strong as it could have been, but I still believe that this is going to be big. I'm still sticking with it. I think this is going to be big.
I think the same argument could be made. Would it get the same traction if James Tynion wasn't writing it? Do you know, it's one of those things. But I think it's just going to complement it nicely. I think, you know, anything that Tynion brings out, people are going to pick up to read at least the first issue, because I think with Something Is Killing the Children, obviously the first 1 to 5 issues cost a fortune now. So I think everybody's jumping on that bandwagon now just to make sure that they don't miss out. FOMO.
Yep. And we have next one.
Next one is Time Before Time, issue number 7. So this is back writing from Rory McConville and Declan Shalvey as well. And we've got Joe Palmer doing the art. So if you remember, issue number 6, I think Declan done all the writing on that particular issue.
Andy, kids crying.
Take over. The baby's crying. I'll take
over. Take over.
See, this is what happens, guys, when you know my kids are sleeping. So yes, Time Before Time, issue number 7. So issue number 6, we had Declan Shalvey doing all the writing on the book. Now we're back to sort of normal process. Now where Rory's doing the story. Really looking forward to it. Issue number 6 sort of picked up into the new arc. Really looking forward to issue number 7. And for anybody who is in the Belfast area, Declan Shalvey is actually going to be doing a signing at Coffee and Heroes in Belfast. So make sure that you check that out. Now, I'm conscious that I don't have access to StreamYard to move these slides on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some more of the comics that I picked up seamlessly at Thought Bubble. So I picked up this fantastic X-Men Terry Dodson cover. Now, this was one of only maybe 1 or 2 stands at Thought Bubble that was physically selling comics that had sort of short boxes or long boxes that you could look through. So I managed to pick this up. All these comics for £1 as well. You sorted? He's on mute. He's on mute. You're on mute.
This is what happens when the boss is out. I have to look after the kids as well. But
as long as the baba's okay. I just went into this really seamless showing off the rest of the comics that I had, but
perfect segue.
A little bit of J. Scott Campbell for £1. Come on, guys.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I should have picked up the J. Scott Campbell Detective Comics 100, wasn't it? I think it was 100 with Batman and Catwoman. I should have got that. But yeah, it's honestly, there's no different for me running up and down there than there is for me and you, me looking after you and Tom during Thought Bubble. But we won't go into that.
And you had to wipe our bottom as well.
I know, I did. But yeah, so have you done this one? All good? All done?
Mate, seamless, absolutely seamless. Moving on.
There we go.
Next one, and I'm looking forward to this one. This is Good Boy, issue number 1. This is written by Christina Blanche and Garrett Gunn, and the art is by Kit Wallace. This looks absolutely mental. This is a Source Point press, and I think this has been delayed quite a lot. There's a lot of covers out for this, but this is effectively the story of this dog whose, I believe, his wife is murdered, and this dog goes out for revenge on the people who perpetrated this. This looks like it looks like Berserker on drugs. This book.
What was the other one we had where it was about a cat? What was that?
Oh, Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Yes, that was weird.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think this Source Point Press don't normally disappoint when it comes to sort of these books. So I would suggest that you pick this up. I don't think the print run's going to be huge on this either, and I think this might be one of those ones that will go up in price.
This might, yeah. It looks interesting. It really does look interesting because obviously he's like half wolf, half man. So this is going to be, yeah, that's it. Exactly what I'm trying to think of. Like the look of Good Boy reverse John Wick. I was literally I couldn't get it out But Triple G read my mind. That's what I was trying to say. It does kind of look like a Hitman Wolf style type of thing. So that's very interesting. Is that by Source Press?
Source Point Press, yeah.
Source Point Press, perfect.
Now, I'm hoping that this comes out next week, but I have seen solicitations to suggest that it's not out until the 1st of December. But I can't wait for it. We've been reading this. It's one of my top picks of the year when we do our review. It's written by
100%.
Jeremy Holt. It's George Charles doing the artwork. And this is the 6th and final issue of this arc. The thing is, I don't even know where this is going, Charlie. I don't know what's going to happen to this character.
Not at all.
And I can only hope that we get a second arc. That's what I'm praying for.
This for me, as along with Layla Starr, has been the 2 favourite comics of the year.
Yeah.
Amazing. Incredible.
Can't disagree. Yeah.
Absolutely sensational. Absolutely sensational. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. And we are going to have Jeremy on. We'll have him on when the boss is back. The boss is back, so I don't have to run up to the kids anymore.
Oh, did everybody watch and see the relief on Charlie's face there? When
Everyone
the boss
watched.
came back?
Everyone watched. I've had to run up about 3 times for Harry, but it's fine. And I'm live, so I'm just going to carry on doing the show, and then I'll talk to you in a bit. No, I'm all right, thanks. But yeah, so the boss is back. I can crack on with the show now. I kind of zoned out and forgot.
See, that's the thing, guys. We do have real lives. I promise. We don't just do this, every day until we get to Thursday. We do have real lives.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And Jeremy has said that he will, when the trade comes out, he will sign the trade for us, and we will give it as a giveaway.
Yeah,
how great is that?
Send it to me through my Stackery, and then I'll get it over here, and we can organise that.
And then what we'll do, whoever's in the chat that day, we'll do the wheel of roulette, and then we'll link it up, and then we'll give out a comic. Why not? We haven't done a giveaway in a while. So yeah, but yeah, very much looking forward to this. And I think that's all of your indie picks for this week, isn't it, mate?
Quality over quantity, Charlie.
Quality. But we have got something else. Obviously, give this a little ping.
If there's people there that are watching, that are in the chat that hasn't followed me on Instagram, I would really love if you do so. It's perpetual.comics. Thanks, Charlie. Unfollowed, blocked. Or you can find me on Twitter at Perpetual Comics. I'm on that sort of road to 1,000 followers, which would be really nice. Mm-hmm. And speaking of followers and subscribers and stuff, I think we're very close to 700 subscribers for Geeky Guy Comics channel.
Yeah, we are.
It would be lovely if we could try and hit that milestone by Christmas, maybe.
Yeah.
So please promote the show and let everybody know. And if they haven't subscribed, please go and do so.
But I think Leon Russell is talking about, oh yes, really looking forward to this, one of the absolute picks of the year. I think he's talking about Made in Korea. Sensational. And it was really, issue number 5 was quite personal for Jeremy Holt. And I think he went into that and stuff like that. But if you haven't read it, you haven't picked it up, jump on it now. There's still a couple of first prints from issue number 1 available on eBay, but don't even buy this for a cover. Literally just buy it for the story, because it's sensational. It's incredible. Yeah. But this part of the show has really, really picked up. Now, this was obviously mentioned by Comics vs. the World, who reached out to you, Andy, and said it'd be really good if you did a separate section on Killer Trades paperbacks. So we was like, yep, jump into it. So obviously these are the ones that came out this week, or are we doing it for next week? I think we're doing it for next week. Let's have a look at what we did.
I'm all kerfuffled now, Charlie. I don't know what day it is.
Right, so what we're doing, we review the comics from last week, and we do the killer covers for this week, the killer keys for next week, the killer indies for next week, and the killer trades for next week. So it's not November the 16th. It's going to be November the 23rd.
Boom.
And there we go. So this is good because we each pick different ones.
Yes, we did. So, yeah, as I say, Comic versus the World, I'd suggested about this segment, and it's. I think it works really, really well, because not everybody buys single issues. I know there's a lot of people in the chat at the minute who prefer the trades, prefer the hardcovers, and I'll be honest, it's not something that I would have went and looked at, because trades and graphic novels are not something that I would normally pick up. But see, since I've started looking to see what comes out, I've really started to get interested to see what's out there and maybe start picking them up. So I'm down that rabbit hole. But Nevertheless, I digress. This is Batman by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. This is the Volume 2 hardcover omnibus, and this is going to be a whopping 928 pages of absolute Snyder and Capullo filth. It's going to be amazing. It's $125, give or take. Writers-wise, artist-wise, it's all various. As you know, this kind of I think it's Batman 30, 40, 52, Batman Annual 3 to 4, Futures End 1, Batman 1, and Last Night on Earth 1 to 3, and Detective number 27 and issue 1000. So various artists, various writers. If you're a Batman fan and you've got Volume 1, get stuck in. It's a no-brainer.
This definitely for me, I'll jump into this. I mean, when we went to Thought Bubble and we were seeing Jock and stuff, I picked up at OK Comics, I picked up the trade paperback of Black Mirror, and it is amazing. I'm only like six pages in, but it's one I'm properly reading. I'm really getting into the trade paperback, and that's massive kudos to you for wanting to do this trade, and Comic versus the World for putting it on the radar for the show, but also to like the likes of like Comico Dino and Phil's Nerdiverse, because there's not many channels out there that do like the omnibuses and trade paperbacks and stuff like that. So if you ain't a comic book collector of single issues, this is probably the best way to get into it.
No, without a doubt, yeah. And there's, as you say, there's loads of channels there that are doing the omnibus thing. We might even actually maybe next week throw up some channels of that are sort of specialising in that. Do you know what I love? I love when Phil Nerdiverse does his pictures, because it looks fantastic. He has his book, he has his lovely wooden desk, and he always has a fantastically placed potted plant just sitting. It's picture perfect. Tell me about it, Phil. Picture perfect.
But this one, this is interesting. Like, this is because I never really got into this one. I kind of jumped on. I've always been a Batman fan, but I really jumped into it when it was Tom King. Tom King's run was amazing.
Connie's saying that she's a trade paperback person, and you should definitely go and follow Connie on Instagram. Some selection of books.
And GP as well, I'm starting to get. I think it's a lot more people are doing it now, because it's just the ease. You can, if you can't get to your comic book shop every week, you can just pick this up when it comes out, and you can just read it non-stop. So interesting.
Next one up for me is Darth Vader by Charles Soule. This collects issues 1 to 25 and annual number 2. This is going to be about $100. So what we're talking, maybe 75 quid, give or take.
Yeah, 80 quid.
Something like that. So everybody knows I'm a Star Wars fan, but there's so many Star Wars comics out there. There's even more that are coming out. But for me, of all the Star Wars runs, this is my favorite. This is the best Star Wars book that you should dive into. I know Charlie's not a huge Star Wars reader, but if I was going to suggest anything, it would be Darth Vader. I think this is the best of the bunch.
Did you not see the cover that I picked this week? I love Star Wars massively.
Oh yeah,
I love the films. I love the films.
Yeah,
but the comics, I think there were so many of them floating around.
Speaking of that cover, how's the poll doing, Charlie?
The poll is doing as it was 15 minutes ago. King Shark number 65% and Star Wars 35%. So yeah, you're killing it. All right. But yeah, moving swiftly on.
Moving on.
Oh, this was one that I picked, right? So this is obviously Post Americana trade paperback. Now this was an interesting story for me. I think I read issues 1 and 2, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't one that I wanted to continue reading, because there was better stuff that I was looking forward to read, and it wasn't at the top of my radar. So I was like, okay. But now that it's out in trade paperback and it collects issues 1 and 7. I think I'm going to do it, because I haven't got. I mean, let's be honest. This wasn't a most sought after comic. I think it was a selected few, and there wasn't a massive runs on it. So if your comic book shop weren't having it, it could quickly fall off your radar, and you'd forget to pick it up.
Yeah, I would say the first issue was probably a huge number of people picked up, just because it's that post-apocalyptic story. I know Comic Deal James really enjoyed this run, but I'm a little bit like you. I think we read the first maybe issue or 2 as part of the show, and it just never caught my attention. But now that it's out in trade paperback, it maybe be something that I can dive into.
But this isn't like Triple G. I read mostly stuff in trade paperback, but collect single issues. Love a good hardback as well. The Darth Vader comics are insanely good. Yes, I definitely think I need to get into them.
100%.
But this for me, I think this is definitely one like I'm going to read. I'd like to read it as a trade paperback because I think trying to pick it up every single week with the issue, it just fell off my radar. And where it wasn't on my pull list, I was just picking it up now and here and there. Before you know it, you're 5 issues that you've missed. Do you know what I mean?
100. I think that's going to be the key for that Darth Vader one that we just looked at. The fact that you can get all the issues in one is going to make that an insanely good read. It's probably one that you could just sit and get through in the one sitting.
Yeah, but this, Post Americana collects issues 1-7, 16.99. So what's that, about 12.99, 13 quid?
Yeah, something like that.
Written artist and cover art by Steve Scotch and artist and cover artist by Dave Stewart, and it is available in stores next week.
Nice.
And then up next, again, now this for me, Geiger, was really enjoyable. Like, this was Image at some of his finest. I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to read it. I didn't think I was going to get into it, but I did, and I'm so glad. And I will be picking up a trade paperback. Again, it collects issues number 1 to 6. I think Geiger was we're on issue 10 now or 11. We're kind of up there, but this is 9.
Can I be honest? I haven't read an issue. Is that bad?
No way. Are you serious? This is great. Like
I haven't read one issue. Well, I look forward to receiving this as my Secret Santa from you, Charlie.
We've only got a tenner, so with postage, mate, it takes it over. So I can't. I do apologise.
All right, Scrooge.
But yeah, this is obviously like we was talking about post-apocalyptic worlds and stuff. But this is about a nuclear war, right? And it's ravaged the planet and stuff like that. So if you like all the stuff like that, if you like, what's that computer game? Greyman plays it all the time on his internet, so on his YouTube channel.
Manic Miner.
No, it's not Manic Miner. It's about post-apocalyptic, but it's wicked. So good. And definitely, again, this is, for me, this would be better read as a trade paperback. Like there's some comics out there you would just read and think, oh yeah, it's all right. This for me, 100% I would read it as a trade paperback. Because again, where it wasn't shouted about like your Batmans are or your Marvel comics are, this was out at about the same time as when we had like Something's Killing the Children. I think Something Killing the Children issue number 10 came out when issue number 1 of this came out. So everyone's going to go to that. Everyone's like, do you know what I mean? So this as a trade paperback.
This has been run about when Berserker was kind of a hit in the stands and stuff like that. So I think that
there we go. It's Fallout. This is like the comic book version of Fallout. That's what I was looking for. Triple G's. He's in my mind tonight. He's knowing exactly what I'm talking about. But yes, that's it. That is it. ABZ Comics. Thank you so much for joining. Hey Andy, filled a lot of my JTC variants this week.
Nice. I'm a fellow John Tyler Christopher fan, so
yeah,
good man.
And there we go. Look, Connie, I've never heard of Geiger. I'll add it to the list. That's what we like to hear. It's what we like to
Secret
hear.
Santa. We'll get it for your Secret Santa.
I was just thinking that Triple G. There it is. It is Fallout. It is Fallout. But definitely, this is it. It's great. That's the trade paperbacks done for this week, next week, and the week before because we couldn't work out what week we were doing. But these all come out next week from any good LCS or eBay or any good.
This is what happens when Tom's not here. We're all over the place. For goodness sakes.
I know. But we're at that stop page. But yeah, that's the Stella going to my head. We are at that part of the show where we highlight what we're going to be reading next week. So this is the Killer Comics Sneak Peek. So up first, we've got. Now, we reviewed the first issue, and I'm not sure if you're still reading it. I'm not sure if Tom's still reading it, but I am. And I wanted to do like the majority of the time, unless we're 7 or 8 issues in, we kind of seem to pick first issue. So I was like, right, Eat the Rich for me is a really good comic by Boom Studios. We're at issue number 4. I wanted to give back to you guys to say, right, read the last 3 issues. Crack on.
So thanks. So I didn't do the show where you guys were reading issue 1 of The Rich. So I now have 4 issues of Eat the Rich to.
But you did that to me. You did that to me with Silver Coin, and I'm so thankful for that because I absolutely love that.
Oh, I can't wait to read 4 issues of Eat the Rich because I've heard so many good things about it.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, not at all.
Oh,
not at all. Even Triple G loves Eat the Rich.
It is. See, loving Eat the Rich. There we go. And what else? So that's my pick of next week. We've got Man Night Ram.
Listen, This is highly anticipated. I can't remember the last comic that I've been so looking forward to reading. This is Radio Apocalypse. A lot of apocalyptic words come this week. From Ram V and Anand RK is doing the art. So those are the two guys who sort of have worked a lot together. If you watch the creator spotlight on Ram V, you'll seen that. Go check it out if you haven't watched it. Yeah, this is going to be absolutely amazing. Vault Comics. I don't know how much in the radar this book is with everybody. I think this is kind of going to be one of those ones that people will be annoyed that they missed out on. But I have very much got my issue, and I cannot wait to tell everybody what I think of it.
When we had Ram V on the show, we kind of highlighted this of what he's got coming up because he does something. He does an amazing thing. Like it's what we do, but obviously it gets highlighted more because of who he is. And he does it on Twitter. And he just says like what comics he's got coming out and what month and stuff like that. When we had him on the show, he said this is some of his best stuff. Now that's fucking hard to say when you've written a comic, the standout comic of the year, with the many deaths of Layla Starr. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're making statements like that against the many deaths of Layla Starr, that's a massive, massive statement.
I think if Stillwater is the sort of most consistent comic of the year for me, then I think overall Ram is the most consistent writer in comics at the moment.
And I'm very much looking forward to it. And he was excited about this. He was excited about it. He gave us, like, if you haven't checked out the show, just head over there and give a quick rewind and have a look at it. But he goes into depth about what it is about and how he came about thinking of this and working with Anand RK and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to reading this next week. It's a nice one for picking up, mate.
And it's got that music vibe, it's got the radio music vibe about it as well. So that'll be cool.
That'll be interesting. And then Tom has picked Tom Taylor, Ivan Coelho, and Brian Reba. Is it Brian Reba? He's picked Dark Ages issue number 3. Now, for me, I'm loving these. I'm really, really loving them. It's like comic books of old when you were a kid and you're flicking through like your old comics and stuff. This, for me, it's like being a child again. Absolutely.
Remember when you used to get the Uncanny X-Men comics? And you'd always get them at the newsagents, but they'd put that horrible Comag sticker on the front.
Yep.
When I've read the first 2 issues of this, and as a thank you from the show because you guys picked it, because it wouldn't be something I would normally pick. That's what it feels like. It feels like I'm back then picking up the books from the newsagents, going to Woolworths, getting a little pick and mix, Charlie. You know how it is, picking up your books. And because we had the pleasure of meeting Ivan at Thought Bubble, there almost was a little bit more of a connection there. Whenever you're reading these books as well, I think I mentioned that to you at the show. Like a lot of the people we've met were now reading the comics as well, and it just there's that. It feels like you're invested even more. So yeah, looking forward to issue number 3 to see what Mr. Taylor does.
And that's it. We are at the end of the show. We are at the end of Killer Comic Show issue 40, episode 45. But before we go, so obviously we mentioned that when we get to 700 subs, we would be giving away the John Jiang, The Nice House on the Lake, issue number 1 variant cover signed by Mr. James Tinian. So we are nearly there. We've got 2 covers of these. I think we all got our personal ones done. This is mine, and we've got another cover that has been signed by James Tinian, and we will be giving it away to a viewer. So as soon as we hit that 700, what we'll do, we'll take a note of who's in the chat. We'll do the roulette. So then at the end of the show, we can announce it, and then one of you lucky guys can win it.
Yeah, and we're in no rush to get to 700. It would be great if we'd done it before Christmas, but we want it to be kind of organic, and the people that are subscribed to the channel want to be on the channel, not just to kind of win a book. And that's why we do a lot of the giveaways kind of without announcing them. We kind of just throw them in there because we want it to be the people that's in the chat that actually win something. So whenever it happens, it happens. But yeah, we're looking forward to giving that away to someone.
And aren't we doing something with CBCS as well? Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so we got our comics signed, and Tim was gracious enough to take them away to send them off to CBCS. So whenever those come back, we will be revealing the grades live. And was there something else that I missed, Charlie? Maybe?
I'm not sure. How many comics did we put in? Did we put in 3 or 4?
I can't remember. That's why I stopped.
So what we're doing?
We're in shambles. We're in absolute shambles, aren't we?
We'll basically confirm, right? Because I think Tom was a little bit worse for wear on the first day of Thought Bubble. And what we're going to do, we're going to find out. So if it's 4 comics we put through, one of them will be up for a giveaway. And again, it will be, we'll announce it. This is why we do it. We do it for you guys watching, because we know you're here every week. You spend time with us misfits.
We'll just do it randomly, won't we? We won't
We'll
announce
just
it.
do it random. No.
We'll just randomly do it. Yeah.
So what we'll do, I think we did do 4 comics though, and I think one of the comics it will come back. We do a live grading with Tim from Hobgoblin's Hideaway. We'll do the live, and then we'll end the show with a giveaway. So one of you lucky viewers can win a Nice House on the Lake John Gian signed by James Tinian, and you could also potentially win a CBCS as well.
Can't say any fairer than that. And just one last thing, Charlie. Everybody that's in the chat, everybody in the chat's probably got a channel as well on socials. So can everybody just go and sub up to everybody and go and follow them on Instagram and stuff like that? That would be really cool as well.
100%. Honestly, this is Thought Bubble for me was everything I expected it to be and more. And that's down to yourself, Comic Deal, Panels in a Half Pint, Superhero. You got Tom Mailing, Not Quite Mint. You got Triple G.
You're going to miss out someday there, and we're going to get unsubscribed.
I know.
No pressure.
You got Mark Oldroyd, Hydra Collectibles. You've got everyone that's in the chat tonight, because I'm not going to go through it, but you've got everyone in the chat. But we enjoy doing this every single week, and it's thanks to you guys in the chat spending like an hour and a half on a Thursday night, because I'm sure you've got better things to do. But why wouldn't you want to look and sit down and watch a Cockney and a jock talk about comics? Okay? And on that note, guys, have a fantastic weekend, and we shall see you next week. See you later.